Welcome back for the next instalment of my Inktober sketches, days 22 to 28. We're so very nearly all the way through. Day 22 we had Heist, and these are the red, white and blue minis from the original Italian Job with Michael Caine. My first thought for Heist was, if you've seen the film The Three Fugitives with Martin Short, where he's robbing a bank with a pair of tights over his head and he pulls a pin on the grenade and the tights ladder and his ear pops out the side. It's quite funny. And then when I looked at sort of still images of that, I just thought, no, that's beyond me. I can't draw Martin Short with half his face in tights and half popping out. So I settled for cars again from the Italian Job. Then the next day we had Booger. I'm never quite sure if I'm saying that right because it's not a word we use in the UK. We would just say bogey, maybe snot, some other disgusting word. I decided just to take the gentle way out of that subject and just do a box of tissues. There are a few snotty tissues, but yeah, I didn't put much effort into this, I've got to be honest. I was not looking forward to doing this word, and I didn't particularly enjoy doing the drawing either. But I think that's the first one in the month where I really wasn't feeling much inspiration for that. So yeah, so that was just a quick one. And then we had Fairy. Now, instead of doing a little sprite-like elf sort of, I don't know, mythical creature, I decided to go for fairy washing up liquid. And for those of you who are not in the UK, this is, I guess you would say, this is our like leading brand of washing up liquid. And they do laundry powders and other things as well. But yeah, so this is my fairy. And also, if you're not familiar with the brand, you might not quite recognise this little figure here. It's a little baby with a fluffy nappy on, which has kind of been their logo for many years. Yeah, that's kind of like acted as a reminder to me that I needed to stop sketching and go and do some washing up, because I've been more rubbish than normal at keeping up with my housework this month because of spending more time sketching. And then tempting. We've got some Domino's pizza boxes. Again, not a great deal of effort that went into this sketch. I had lots of ideas of what I could draw for something that was tempting. But pizza for me, and Domino's pizza especially, it's like when somebody mentions it, or if I see it advertised, it's almost guaranteed that either that day or the next day I'm going to be ordering for my dinner. And I try really hard not to order it too often because obviously the calories and also the cost, I can't afford either. So yes, that's why I settled on pizza. And I'd actually had, now then, confession time. I was saying about the day before that I needed to stop sketching and do some washing up. Well, actually, I didn't do the washing up. So then the following day, when I should have had plenty of clean plates and crockery and whatever else, and then it was like when it came to cooking dinner, and it was like, well, I need to wash up first before I can cook dinner. And then I was like, oh no, I'm just going to get pizza. So there you go. That's how that happened. And then ego, we've got a little cat with a lion shadow. I'll leave it to you to decide whether the lion thinks too little of itself or if the cat thinks too much of itself, because ego can go either way, can't it? And then we've got snack. Again, I was thinking of all of my favourite snacks, and I was looking out my living room window and there was just a mass of starlings on the feeders outside my living room window. And I probably took about, I don't know, between 50 and 60 photos, just snap, 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 just trying to get the perfect shot of one of the birds. This kind of 3/4 coconut shell, which is filled with some kind of, I don't know, fatty, mealwormy something or other that they love. And obviously it's one of those where you hope that you're going to get the small cute birds come in, and I get the starlings and I get jackdaws and pigeons and all sorts of bigger birds come in, but I don't mind that. I'm happy to see any wildlife in my garden, and if the bigger birds like it, then I'm happy to see them too. It's quite funny when the jackdaws and the pigeons, they kind of land on this branch above, and they're trying to reach down because they can't grab hold and balance because they're just too heavy. Sometimes you see them, they've got one foot on the branch and they've got one foot on the top of the coconut and trying to reach down. It's quite entertaining to watch, but this little fella, he did manage to get quite a bit. If you follow me on Instagram, as well as sharing the photo of my sketch, I also shared some of the photos of the birds that I took. I don't think I particularly chose wisely from my 50 or 60 photos to try and sketch this particular one, because the wings are such a blur. It just looks a bit like a scribble. It doesn't necessarily look, to me, doesn't necessarily look like blurred wings because it's flapping like crazy just trying to keep its balance. But yeah, there you go. That was my birds snacking. Oh, and then I've got a little interruption. When I made this book, this particular page was ripped, and I thought, well, that's okay, I'll just make a feature of it. So I did this black frames and then also some white frames. I thought, well, that would be quite fun to just draw something in there. But as it turns out, this has come like in the midst of Inktober, so I've just left those ones blank. Whether I'll go back and draw something on them at a later date, I don't know. I might just leave them blank so as not to interrupt Inktober. And then the last one for today is camping. Again, I had lots of different ideas of sort of classic caravans with sort of matching cars where they've got like the same paint job on the caravan and the car. I was going to do a close-up of just some of the camping equipment, like a little stove or kettle, saucepans. I had an idea for some camping saucepans. You know, the ones where you've got the handle that hooks in and you can switch the handle between saucepans. And I remember being on holiday with my parents and my mum pouring some soup into a bowl on the table and the handle fell off, and oh, there was just soup everywhere, and yeah, never quite got rid of the smell of that one. So I wanted to draw that, and then I looked at the photos and it's like, no, they're just not that interesting to draw. So I ended up drawing this scene that I found a photo of that I particularly liked. I thought it was quite a nice one. So there we go, 28 days done. Just 3 more days to do. I've already got an idea what I'd like to do for farm, but the other two, not really much of an idea yet. And I'm thinking, as there are only 3 days left, in my final video, as well as showing you my last 3 sketches, maybe I will film myself drawing the last sketch, and then while I'm sort of playing the footage of that, I just perhaps do a voiceover, talk about, you know, what I've liked, what I've not liked, what I've found difficult, or what's been, you know, harder or easier than expected doing Inktober for the first time ever. Things I might do differently if I do it again next year, or even if I decide to do it just in a different month before next year. I don't know, we'll see. So yeah, so I've got lots of lots of possibilities, and Not really definite decisions yet. So thank you for bearing with me and my rambly my rambly descriptions, and I will see you in a few days.